Welcome to your Winter Solstice Capricorn season yoga class. Go ahead and come to the top of your mat, bringing your feet together and inhaling as you soften your gaze, exhaling, perhaps even closing down the eyes, and breathing here, filling the body with the breath, inhaling and exhaling, releasing, dropping into the present moment. And bringing your awareness to the bottom of your feet, ground down and anchor in. Capricorn is all about being stable, grounded, rooted as we take the next step to work hard towards our goals. Bringing your awareness to the bottom of your feet, rooting down, perhaps even imagining, visualizing, sensing your roots as if you had roots penetrating down deep into the fertile soil beneath you, through the floor and into the ground. And then imagining these roots connecting with the whole web of life and being so deeply nourished and supported, held. And as you breathe here, begin to draw nurturing, nourishing energy up through your roots and into your body, filling your body with this very grounding energy, maybe even allowing yourself to be a little bit heavy as you really settle down into this sense of being grounded, rooted, supported, held by the earth beneath you. And then with this terrestrial earth energy, terrestrial, okay, earthy energy, soaking up that earthy energy through your feet, and then with that earthy energy, scanning your body, nourishing your body, soaking up that earthy energy into your feet, and then scanning your awareness up, bringing that sense of groundedness into the calves, the knees, perhaps lifting up and out of the knee joints, relaxing through the quads and the hamstrings, and maybe bringing in some movement quickly to or slowly to the pelvis, the pelvic bowl here, perhaps finding some little movement in the pelvis before returning to stillness. And then lifting up and out of the pelvic bowl, relaxing through the abdomen, scanning the awareness over the lower lumbar spine, the low back, bringing your awareness up into your rib cage, all the internal organs, letting them be soaked in this nourishing, revitalizing earth energy. And then relaxing through the chest, the shoulder blades, the shoulders, and scanning your awareness down your arms all the way to your fingertips. And then bringing your awareness back up the arms to the neck, relaxing through the trachea, the esophagus, the thyroid, everything going on in the throat. Relaxing through the whole head, allowing for a sense of really feeling mentally grounded to wash over the whole entire head, all the features of the face. And then pausing for a moment here, breathing in, bringing your hands to your low belly. And inhaling, expanding the low belly, feeling the low belly press into the hands as if you were inflating a balloon, inhaling. And exhaling, contracting, hugging the navel in towards the spine, feeling the belly contract. Feeling the belly contracting, exhaling, expelling the breath, releasing stagnation, and continuing to allow the low belly to be the engine of the breath as you inhale deeply. Filling the low belly with breath, and exhaling, contracting, hugging the navel in, exhaling, expelling stagnant prana energy. And as you breathe in this way, slightly constricting through the back of the throat to bring in that victorious Ujjayi breath, hearing the sound of the ocean. So the engine of the breath is the low belly. We're filling the body, the lungs, and the low belly with breath. And there's a slight constriction in the breath to enjoy this Ujjayi victorious breath. And Capricorn, being so rooted, stable, grounded, and ambitious, determined to climb the mountain of success, will indeed be victorious by virtue of its own hard work. Keeping that in mind as we root down through the four corners of the feet, lifting the arms up with one breath, inhaling up, maybe opening through the front of the body, arching the back slightly, greeting the day, and then bringing the hands together, bowing forward into our first forward fold. Perhaps you'd like to separate your feet out now, hips width apart, and bringing a micro bend into the knees as you allow the spine to relax, creating space between the vertebrae, and shaking the head yes, shaking the head no. Here, as you connect even deeper into this earthy, pragmatic, stable, steadfast energy, feeling the earth supporting you beneath you with your knees, either micro bend or they could be bent quite a bit with the belly compressing on the quads here. Or perhaps you want to explore straightening the legs to really get a deeper hamstring stretch if that resonates with you. And continue to breathe in revitalizing earth energy, visualizing a green, or if you prefer like a red, earthy energy rising up through the yin channels of the inner thighs and pooling or collecting at your root, the perineum. So pooling at your seat, and then cascading that energy down with an exhale, releasing it over the spine and letting it fall down with a visualization or just sensing what that might be like. If you were to inhale, revitalizing earth energy up through the yin channels, the meridians of the inner thigh, allowing it to pool at your Muladhara or root chakra at the level of the seat, the perineum between the genitals and the anus. And then exhaling, letting that energy cascade and wash down over the spine, releasing any tension as it falls into the earth. Taking a few cyclical, earthy breaths like this if you like, or simply resting here, feeling rooted and grounded in this stabilizing forward fold. And letting the brain be heavy in the head, surrendering deeper as you breathe here. And gently lift and lengthen, engaging the navel here, getting longer. The tailbone reaches back as the crown reaches forward, flat back. Exhaling, spreading the fingers, placing all 10 fingers on the earth, stepping back, shoulders over wrists, stabilizing. Capricorn is such a stabilizing influence. And caffeinating, activating the hamstrings, reaching the heels back as the crown reaches forward, holding in this isometric contraction for a moment. Strengthening the core, hugging the navel in slightly. Staying long, building the structure here like a bridge with the shoulders over wrists, heels reaching back. And exhaling all the way to the earth, placing the third eye on the floor. Stabilizing the mind and perhaps even visualizing as if you had a drain at your third eye, Ajna chakra, and it was emptying out all of the thoughts. Letting all the thought forms, the vrittis, empty out into the earth to be recycled, regenerated, draining out the brain, the thoughts, creating space. Inhaling deeply and exhaling. We're going to lift up into our Shalabhasana, so bringing the arms straight, palms facing down, connecting to the earth. And we're going to lift up through the shoulders and the legs. Our anchor point or leverage point will be the pubic bone. So see if you can begin to tuck the tailbone and really press the pelvis into the floor and get really long here. Do not kink or crank the neck backwards. Rather, let the gaze be out in front of you so there's a nice long neck here. And inhale, lift up, Shalabhasana, flying here in this beautiful pose, strengthening the back, pressing the pubic bone into the floor, reaching back as the crown reaches forward. Take a few breaths here, Ujjayi breaths. And releasing down, pressing through the hands, under shoulders here. Flipping the palms forward now. And then we're just going to press up into a low cobra, protecting the low back by staying really long, lifting up and out of the pelvis. And exhaling down. And we're going to lift up through our plank, flip your toes over into a demi point, and then we're going to press down through the arms to lift up, pushing away from the ground into our plank pose here, strengthening through the core, and then pressing back systematically into our downward facing dog, another really earthy, rooted, grounded posture. I say systematically because Capricorn is all about building systems and structures in our lives that create a dependable supportiveness. And breathing deeply here, 5 deep breaths into this methodology. We're going to be doing 5 deep, long, luxurious breaths. Lifting up through the seat, pressing through all 10 fingers and letting the hamstrings melt towards the floor. And when you've taken your 5th and final breath, lift up on the demi point of the toes, bend the knees, lift the booty, press back even more, gaze forward through the hands, and then gently either hop or step to the top of the mat. Feet can be shoulder width apart or more traditionally with the feet together. And we're just gonna roll up the spine, stacking vertebra by vertebra here. Beautiful, well done. Rising up to the top of the mat, standing strong here in your mountain pose, a very earthy, rooted, grounding posture. We're not just standing here, this is an asana. It's actually a balancing posture because we're bringing our 2 feet together now. So when we stand up in our Tadasana, our mountain pose, 2 feet together, balancing here, finding the plumb line, the axis of your being, your core channel, along the spine, Sushumna Nadi, drawing your energy inwards, Pratyahara, inward drawing of the senses, and let your awareness gather and collect on through your plumb line, the core channel, your spine. Sushumna Nadi. And we're going to inhale again, rooting down. Let the shoulders melt as you reach the hands up. Open the heart. Press the pubic bone forward with a tucked tailbone if that's safe for you. And exhaling, hands come through Anjali Mudra at the heart center. And releasing down. Gently lift and lengthen here. Exhaling, again, stepping through our plank posture, setting ourselves up in a really stable way, like a bridge. Exhaling, Chaturanga Dandasana. My elbows are in. Exhaling, flipping over the toes, dropping the pubic bone towards the ground, protecting the low back by keeping my legs super active and as straight as possible. Inhaling, opening through the chest. I'm like a pendulum here. I'm lifting the quads off the floor because my legs are so straight. But if I bend my knees, I can drop them down as well if that's necessary. And then lifting up, you can flip over both toes at the same time or one at a time, lifting the seat up and back, gazes at the navel, paddling out, perhaps taking your dog for a walk. The dog is a great symbol of the earth element, the root chakra, Muladhara. So here as well, the dog has such a good sense of smell and the sensory experience that corresponds with the earth element, Muladhara chakra. Our root is definitely that sense of smell. So as you breathe deeply here, activating your sense of smell, noticing any scents lingering around. And after your 3rd and final breath, lift the seat, bend through a demi point in the toes, look forward, and then just hop to the top of your mat. And you can come up with a flat back, engaging the navel, or rolling up the spine, stacking vertebra by vertebra. meeting me at the top in your Tadasana mountain pose, rolling the shoulders back, palms are facing forward, kind of like they're in your back pockets at the side of your body, and taking a moment to breathe, noticing the effects of this beautiful Surya Namaskar. Sun salutations. The sun is now at 0 degrees of Capricorn on winter solstice. Capricorn season means the sun is activating those 30 degrees in the sky from 0 to 29. That part of the sky that we attribute to Capricorn, the father archetype, the patriarch, the government, institutions, and authorities, those stabilizing, structured, sometimes or often stern, harsh influences. Responsibility is the key word with Capricorn. So just take responsibility for your experience here and now, rooting down through your feet. Come into our chair pose. I feel like this is a great pose for Capricorn. Pretend Capricorn rules over our careers. So it's the 10th house. We can look there to see what's in store for us in our career. The career in terms of like the long overall trajectory, climbing that mountain ambitiously in our career, not necessarily the day-to-day work, which is Virgo, or even the finances, Taurus, but the overarching trajectory of our career and how we show up to take responsibility and contribute also to society and to building our family. Sitting here in chair pose, make sure you can see your toes. Also like a balancing posture. And then we're just going to give Capricorn a break and fly, bringing the arms back, tipping forward, lifting the seat gently, and then come back into our chair pose. Beautiful. Bringing the hands to heart center. Let's twist over to one side. Starting with the right side is always recommended to work with the ascending and descending colon, supporting your digestion by starting out on the right side. Trying to keep the hands, Anjali Mudra, pressing together. I'm anchoring in the side chair, twisted chair, with my elbow. Just being really aware and coming through the center, staying in that chair, and then exhaling, noticing the quads, those huge muscles wanting to do all the work. And see if you can engage and recruit all the muscles rather than letting that huge quad, the bully muscle there, do all the work. Beautiful. Coming through, and let's just fly the arms back and then stand up, and maybe you want to shake out the legs. Gorgeous. We're gonna move through our Vinyasa, coming to the floor here, pressing down, lifting up, opening through the heart, bending, bowing forward with reverence for the earth. Gently lift and lengthen. All 10 fingers spread wide, shoulders over wrists as I step back into my plank posture. The thighs are super active, hamstrings are engaged as my heels reach back, and I'm coming through my chaturanga. And I just like to roll my R's. I don't think that's real Sanskrit pronunciation. Chaturanga. How does that R go? And pressing back, flipping over both toes at the same time, if that's safe for you, or one at a time. And let's take 5 deep breaths here. Releasing the neck, brain is heavy in the head, gaze is either at the navel or perhaps you'd like to close down the eyes. Ujjayi breath. Working hard in your practice by focusing on the breath. Lift the seat, bend the knees, and we're going to hop through or step through to a seat and have another nice grounding, stabilizing asana here. Forward folding. Sitting up nice and tall and reaching up overhead just to get a little bit longer. And then coming forward, staying active, keeping the heart lifted. The spine is long, not concaving or rounding yet. And perhaps you want to place the hands on the shins, or maybe they're on the thighs, or perhaps on the toes. And just notice how, if you have any ambitions or perfectionism coming up here, that can be the Capricorn energy coming through. And rather being ambitious, yes, so perhaps staying extra active, engaged, noticing little tiny micro adjustments you can make here just to get even more determined in your practice by focusing on the breath and using the power of your determination, Capricorn, to direct the breath into any areas where you're feeling tension or stress, and letting that be the work. So rather than struggling, trying to get somewhere, let the work be connecting with the breath and the transformational power of the breath. Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, the planet of slow and sometimes painful transformation, maturity. And then finally, you can concave, rounding the spine, getting a nice juicy fold here, releasing. And then gently rolling up the spine. We're gonna roll down onto our backs here. The knees are up with the feet on the ground, knees are bent. And I'm just gonna rock and roll up and down my pelvis here. So massaging my sacrum vertically to begin. So as if my sacrum, the three fused vertebrae at the low back, the back of the pelvic bowl, the back of the pelvis, was a clock. I'm just going to imagine I'm rocking between 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, creating some mobility in this area. And then rocking around the clock, massaging the circumference of my sacrum in a circle. And then rocking the other way, just letting myself be relaxed here, letting gravity do the work. Gorgeous. And bringing the legs up the wall, pointing and flexing the feet, and rolling out the ankles one direction and then the other. We're going to come into a figure four here, so bending the right knee and turning the right knee out, externally rotating through the hip. And then we're going to drop the left knee down. You can leave it up at an angle or come all the way through, and threading the needle, bringing the hands through the figure four shape, and then clasping either at the back of the shin or the back of the thigh. And taking a moment here, opening up through the right glute. Breathing. Keeping that Ujjayi breath going here. And then releasing again here and coming into the second side, externally rotating through the left hip and opening the left knee out towards the side, bending and placing the flexed left ankle on the right quad. And then reaching the hands through, if they're not already, and clasping either at the back of the quad or the shin. And allowing this to be a nice stretch for your glutes. Having really safe and healthy knee action here. Capricorn rules over the knees, so just being sure to protect that part of your body, that hardworking goat that's climbing up the mountain. Thinking about how much your knees do for you and just sending them some love and gratitude. Beautiful. And then bringing the legs up, we're going to release and we're going to come into our final Shavasana. If there's any other postures you'd like to take, feel free. Otherwise, melting into the floor here, coming into your final resting pose. The pose that requires the most maturity and wisdom, Capricorn energy, to really understand how important this posture is. And the pose, Shavasana, is corpse pose, symbolic death. It's the release, the ending of our practice, the letting go and deep surrender. And this winter season, Capricorn season, begins always on winter solstice in the tropical zodiac in our Western astrology. It's corresponding with winter. It really takes a sense of maturity to understand why we need to come into this barren time of year almost, although Capricorn is a fertile earth energy. But the winter archetype of surrender, letting go, and this corpse pose, it's like that hibernation. Trusting in the cycle, the creation, preservation, and then the reabsorption phase. The reabsorption phase of winter. The maturation of the cycle. Feeling the harmonious distribution of all the energy you cultivated in your Capricorn winter solstice class through your whole being. A sense of harmony washing over you, peacefulness, maybe even a dissolving of the body outline, merging. And resting here as long as you possibly can, and whenever you're ready, bending the knees and stretching the arms overhead, and then rolling over to one side, cradling the ear on the bicep in this fetal position, observing and acknowledging this transitional moment, taking time here as long as you like, and then pressing down to help yourself up to a seat, rooting down through your sit bones, getting a little bit taller, creating some space between the vertebra. The chin ever so slightly becomes tucked more so like parallel to the earth. And imagining yourself getting a little bit taller, perhaps like a string from the ceiling is pulling you up, creating space between the vertebra. And then lifting up through a pelvic floor contraction, contracting and lifting up through the genitals and the anus, drawing that revitalizing earth energy, the lower vital energy up, sublimating it through this contraction, like a Kegel, or if you were urinating and had to stop quickly, it's that movement. So looking for your root lock, Mula Bandha. And then perhaps engaging the optic nerve, slightly gazing up at the third eye, the space between the eyebrows with the eyes closed in this final meditation. And taking a breath here. Inhaling and exhaling, bringing the hands to the heart center and consciously choosing to practice gratitude. Gratitude is scientifically proven to improve your feelings of peace, happiness in the brain. So even just the effort to try to be grateful significantly improves our happiness, brings in those beautiful neurochemicals. Inhaling and then just releasing, keeping it really simple, pragmatic, grounded here. Thanking yourself for being here, and I'm so grateful to have you in this Winter Solstice Capricorn season yoga experience. I'm Carrie Elizabeth. If you want more classes like this, check out my free 4-part elemental yoga series, either here on YouTube or go to moongirlastrology.com, and you can sign up and have that in a sacred container on my website. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.